I knew something was wrong before anyone told me. I just didn't have a name for it yet. I woke up at 6:03 a.m. to my dog Murphy scratching at the bedroom door. He never does that. Usually he waits for me to get up. I stumbled out of bed and almost tripped over my phone charging cable, feeling off balance in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. I walked into the kitchen and everything felt wrong. My roommate Dylan was already at the counter, pouring stale cereal into a chipped bowl. He looked tired. More than tired, really, like he hadn't slept in a week. The TV was on, and some news anchor's voice droned in the background. Local authorities urge residents to remain calm. Then, just as suddenly, the channel glitched and flipped to a cartoon. Dylan didn't even look up. "You want coffee?" he asked. I shook my head. My stomach felt weird. The neighborhood felt different too. Through the window, I saw a military van idling at the curb, big, boxy, and out of place on our sleepy American street, where the wildest thing last week was Mrs. Cunningham yelling at some kids for cutting through her yard. Murphy barked at the van, his hackles up. That's when I noticed the streak of something dark, blood, on the sidewalk, half washed away by the rain from last night. My skin prickled. I stared, but nobody else seemed to care. People just hurried past, coughing into their sleeves. I tried texting my mom to ask if she'd seen anything weird, but the message spun and never sent. I called her, straight to voicemail. I tried again, then called my best friend from college, Sam, same thing. Meanwhile, Dylan scrolled on his phone, frowning. "Is your phone working?" I asked. He shook his head, staring at his screen. "Everything's just loading. Feels like when the Wi-Fi's out, but I've got bars." The news didn't help. They kept switching between stories about an outbreak at a hospital and a contained incident at the edge of town. I flipped through 3 channels and heard 3 different versions. One said it was the flu. One said it was a chemical leak. Another anchor looked dead scared and started crying before the feed cut out. By 10 a.m. it was silent outside. I mean really silent. Not even the mail truck came by. Usually there are kids playing basketball down the street by now, but the hoop was empty, and someone had left a bike in the middle of the sidewalk, wheels still spinning. Murphy wouldn't leave my side. I could hear my own heart in my ears. Dylan's phone finally pinged. He jumped. "Dude, check this out," he said, shoving his phone in my face. There was a message from his cousin in California. It was just 2 words, "Lockdown." And then another, "Emergency." No details, just that. I started to laugh because it was easier than freaking out. But Dylan was dead serious. "Do you think, should we?" Right then, we heard a bang from the apartment next door. Not a knock, more like something hitting the wall. Murphy barked, and Dylan yelled at him to shut up. I told him to stop. Something was wrong. We pressed our ears to the wall and heard, I don't know, crying, or maybe someone choking. I tried calling out, but there was just a gurgling sound and then nothing. That was when I decided, if there was any chance the stuff on the news was real, we needed to do something. I grabbed the baseball bat from the closet. Dylan started piling up furniture by the door. We didn't talk about it. We just did it. Murphy paced and whined, confused but trusting us anyway. I texted everyone I knew. "Lockdown. Don't open the door. Something's happening." By the time we finished blocking the windows with couch cushions and flipping the dining table against the front door, it was almost dark. I hadn't eaten, but I wasn't hungry. My hands shook every time I tried to drink water. Dylan and I sat on the floor, back to back, watching the front door, waiting for something to make sense. Murphy finally curled up between us, still growling at every sound outside. I kept thinking about my mom, about how I never called her back last week when she wanted to talk about my job. I wondered if Sam was okay. I wanted to believe that in the morning everything would go back to normal, that we'd laugh about how paranoid we were. But I didn't really believe that, not anymore. When the banging started again, it was right outside our door this time. Murphy went wild, his nails scraping the hardwood, his barks echoing through our tiny apartment like gunshots. Dylan clutched the bat, white-knuckled, eyes darting from the door to me and back again. My heart hammered so loud I thought whoever, or whatever, was out there could hear it. The banging turned into dragging, then scratching, and then nothing. We waited. I texted Sam again. I texted my mom. Still nothing. Murphy finally settled, but his ears never stopped twitching. It was almost morning when it happened. We heard someone in the hallway, stumbling, bumping into walls. At first I thought maybe it was just drunk neighbors coming back from a party, trying not to wake anyone. But it was Tuesday, and nobody was partying. The footsteps were heavy, shuffling, too slow. They stopped right outside our door. "Should I look?" Dylan whispered. I wanted to say no, but curiosity won. He crept to the peephole. I watched him. His breath caught, and he stepped back so fast he almost tripped over Murphy. "Dude," he whispered, "something's wrong with her face." I looked. It was Mrs. Fanning, the old lady who lived down the hall. She was just standing there, blank, mouth open like she was about to scream, except there was no sound. Her skin looked gray. There was something wet on her chin. Blood. She turned her head, jerkily, and I saw her eye was gone. Just gone. She slammed her head against the door. Once, twice, I jerked back from the peephole. Dylan looked like he was going to be sick. We heard more footsteps now, more shuffling. Someone down the hall screamed. Then there was a loud crash and the sound of glass shattering. Murphy cowered under the table. I locked eyes with Dylan. We didn't say a word, but we both knew this was real. Not a prank, not a chemical leak, not a bad dream. We could hear them multiple people moving up and down the hall. The neighbor's door banged open. Something heavy fell. Then more screams cut short. Then nothing but those wet, slow footsteps. My phone buzzed. For a split second, I felt hope, but it was just a push notification. Emergency alert. Lock down your home. Stay inside. Do not open the door for anyone. My hands shook as I read it out loud. Dylan just nodded, his lips tight. We sat in silence for a long time. Murphy whined. Dylan kept the bat in his lap. The noises outside faded. It felt like the world had shrunk to just the three of us and whatever monsters were out there. I wanted to check on Sam, on my mom, but my phone wouldn't call out. No data, no bars. All we had was the useless emergency alert, repeating every 15 minutes, as if it could make any of this less real. Then there was a scratching at the living room window. We both froze. Our apartment was on the second floor. It wasn't possible. But I saw fingers, pale and bloody, scrabbling at the glass. I dragged Dylan away. We moved into the bathroom, locked the door, turned off the lights. Murphy pressed close to my leg, shivering. In the dark, I could hear him panting and feel Dylan's hand shaking where it gripped my shoulder. That's when I realized something. This wasn't just an outbreak. The people outside weren't sick. They weren't people anymore. I kept thinking of Mrs. Fanning's missing eye, the way she slammed her head against the door, over and over, like she didn't even feel it. The way the alert said, "Don't open the door for anyone, not even your neighbors, not even your friends." Something had changed. The world outside our locked bathroom felt like another planet. Murphy's breaths were hot on my skin. I just kept hoping we'd all still be here in the morning. But deep down, I knew there wouldn't be any more normal mornings. Not ever again. We stayed in that bathroom for hours. I kept the door locked, the light off, every muscle in my body tensed like I was waiting for a gunshot. Dylan didn't say much. He just stared at the bottom of the door, clutching the bat so tight his knuckles looked bone white. Murphy whined once or twice, then gave up and pressed in close to my leg, just shaking, like he knew what was out there was wrong in a way I couldn't fix. The world shrank to the size of that bathroom. Me, Dylan, Murphy, fear, and the faint stench of blood seeping in from the hall. Sometime in the afternoon, the sounds outside changed. No more footsteps, just this guttural moaning, not like a sick person, more like an animal. Someone or something tried the doorknob. I pressed my back against the door and held my breath. Whoever it was moved away, and I heard a door across the hall slam open, then glass break again. The building felt smaller and smaller. My phone was useless. The battery finally died. I couldn't reach my mom. I couldn't check the news. I couldn't see if Sam was okay. I felt like a little kid again, trapped, waiting for an adult to fix it. But there was nobody left to fix anything. Just us. Dylan's breathing grew rough. "We can't stay in here forever," he finally said, voice barely a whisper. "We don't have water or food." He was right. I knew it, but I didn't want to move. I just wanted everything to rewind back to yesterday. Instead, I looked at Murphy and then at Dylan. "We stick together," I said. "We open the door. We check if it's safe. If it's not, we close it again. That's it." We listened. Nothing outside. No footsteps, no voices. I opened the bathroom door as slow as I could, baseball bat raised. The hallway was empty, but the apartment was trashed. A window was shattered in the living room. Blood was everywhere, on the floor, the walls, even the ceiling near the window. Murphy growled, low, and pressed up against my shin. We made it to the kitchen. I grabbed bottles of water and whatever food we could shove in a backpack. Crackers, peanut butter, granola bars. Dylan checked his phone for the 10th time, but nothing. I peeked out the front window. Our street looked like a war zone, cars abandoned at weird angles, more blood on the sidewalk. Someone screamed from 2 houses down. Then gunshots, sharp and close, and more screams. Murphy tried to bark, but I covered his mouth. We crouched behind the couch and waited, breathing slow, staring at each other with wide, scared eyes. That's when Dylan broke. "We can't stay here. We need to get out, find help, find your mom, someone. This place is a death trap." I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. He was right. I just nodded. "We grab what we can and run for the car. We stick together, no matter what." Murphy licked my hand like he understood. I pulled on a hoodie, grabbed the keys, and looked at Dylan. He smiled, but it was broken. "Scared? Let's go." We crept into the hallway, Murphy tight on his leash. At the stairwell, we found the first body, Mr. Harris from 3B, or what was left of him. His chest was torn open, face half gone. Dylan threw up right there in the stairwell. I grabbed his arm and pulled him along. No time to mourn, no time to think, just get out. We ran down the stairs and out the back exit, shoving through the broken door. Outside, the air felt different, thick, hot, buzzing with flies and screams. The street wasn't empty anymore. People, or what used to be people, were moving in slow, broken circles. Some crawled, some staggered, all of them bloody, mouths open, eyes dead and blind. One of them looked up and saw us. It screamed. Loud, shrill, not human. Then it charged. I didn't think. I swung the bat and hit it in the head, felt the crack in my arms. Dylan pushed Murphy behind him and swung a kitchen knife he'd grabbed on the way out. The thing kept coming. I hit it again, harder. It dropped. 2 more turned, groaning. We ran. Murphy bolted ahead and we followed, straight for my car. I fumbled with the keys, hands shaking, dropped them, grabbed them again. Dylan was screaming at me to hurry. The things were closer. I got the door open. Murphy jumped in. Dylan dove across the seats. I gunned the engine and peeled out, running over something that screamed and banged on the car as we sped away. We didn't talk, not for a long time. Not as the city burned around us, not as the sun started to set and the world went dark. I kept driving, not sure where I was going, just away from home. Away from the blood and the screaming and the things that used to be people. Dylan held Murphy in his lap. He stared out the window, tears streaming down his face. I wanted to say something, anything, but there was nothing left to say. We remained huddled together, happily. I knew I wasn't the same person anymore. None of us were. The world was gone. All we had left was each other and the thin hope that somewhere, out there, someone else was still alive.